Scott McNair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is David Vigner, and welcome to the Overall Podcast, brought to you by the Scott Vigner Law Firm. Brad is not here, so I'm solo today. It is Taylor Swift Fest. We have Taylor Swift in the air. The Swifties have descended upon New Orleans. A lot of people, a lot of money coming into the economy, but have a great guest today, Tifiny Swedensky, who's in our podcast studio of Sharp Cookie Development. Tifiny, welcome to the Overrule Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's nice to visit the office and everything and see all that's been going on kind of in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, which most of you probably wouldn't, Tifiny is our fractional marketing director and CMO here at the law firm. She manages both our marketing team and the estate and PI practice group. And Tifiny, I was hoping you could maybe tell everybody a little bit about how you found yourself in this weird world of legal marketing, becoming the expert on pay-per-click on Google and digital marketing and all the things that it is you know about legal marketing.
So when I got started in digital marketing. So I taught myself a little bit of web development because back then we didn't have drag and drop builders or like AI machines.
Well, I don't know.
We didn't have all the things that make it easy to build a website now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so like I learned those programming languages and got into digital marketing. And from there, I specifically got into digital marketing working for Ben Glass at Great Legal Marketing and Ben Glass Law.
Did you teach yourself how to build websites through all those programs? Or like, how'd you learn?
YouTube. And there is one site that I went to a lot, W3 Schools, that basically has like a step-by-step thing that if you follow through it, it'll teach you. I learned JavaScript that way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so
you taught yourself?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Which is, I think, a great point because anybody who wants to do something can teach themselves a lot of stuff with the resource you have online now, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I know you work, for our listeners who wouldn't know, you worked for Ben Glass at Great Legal Marketing and Ben Glass Law. Ben is a fantastic lawyer up in Virginia and wonderful person and a very big industry leader in law firm marketing and teaching other law firms the things they should and shouldn't be doing in marketing.
Yeah.
So tell them, everybody, if you don't mind, Tifiny, a little bit about kind of what you learned there and what that experience was like and how that kind of got you to this next step where you are now.
So I basically learned, I learned a lot of marketing in college, kind of some of the basics, more like theory, I guess. Mm-hmm. But when I started working for Ben, it was the first time I learned about direct response marketing. And your listeners probably aren't also familiar with this, but the Dan Kennedy universe of marketers who create direct response marketing.
And when you say direct response marketing, to the layman listening to this, what does that mean?
Direct response marketing is basically any marketing that's going to say call now, act now. And
Gotcha.
The ad is supposed to generate results that are directly measured to refine the marketing further, basically.
And that is used by any industry, right? It's not just law firms. So it could be any industry has that as a part of their marketing program.
Right? I mean, more commonly, direct response marketing is used outside of legal marketing.
Gotcha.
Legal marketing is for traditionally been brand marketing, brand based for a long time. Ben Glass was kind of unique in that he was a direct response legal marketer. And that's how that was kind of how he founded Great Legal Marketing and teaching lawyers just about this whole direct response method, I guess.
Gotcha.
And yeah, that was.
And when you distinguish direct response from brand, just for our listeners, you mean television, radio, billboards, because right, in injury or any other type of legal service, you're really trying to build a brand for people to know about you because they don't necessarily need you when they see your ad or when they see your billboard or see your mailer, but you want them to think about you when they may need you one day, right? Yeah. Anywho, and so how long were you at Ben's firm and what are some of the biggest things you learned there?
So I was worked for Ben for 7 years, first as the digital marketer, then as the marketing director for both the companies, and then went back just to working for Great Legal Marketing for a little while, and then started my own thing. So 7 years in total. And what are some of the things I learned there? I really learned, honestly, a lot. There's a lot to pick from. So a lot about running a small business and what that looks like from the inside out. Because I was on his leadership team for a while, and while I was on the leadership team, I learned the finances of the firm. Like we reviewed P&Ls, how the firm spent money, how we got money. I just learned like a lot about just running a law firm specifically.
Business, yeah.
And running a business. And like I wouldn't have gotten that anywhere else. So like working on his team, I learned a lot about that. And then, I mean, really just about like how to build these marketing systems. Because we were automating a lot. It was like a small team of marketers. And so like that became kind of my niche and the thing that I did. Like Tifiny built the marketing systems and set up the processes and stuff. And the younger marketers kind of followed along with whatever it was.
Right.
And I guess those are the big things. I mean, they're two like huge things because like how to run a small business is like a huge topic.
Sure.
But yeah, learned a lot
and
about
very
that.
complicated.
Yeah.
It has a lot of things going on all at once, right?
Yeah.
To make it all kind of work when it does work. And what made you get the impetus to try to go out on your own and kind of, because now you have your own marketing company where you have law firm clients like ours that you help build up the marketing team as the firm is growing. Which has been an incredible benefit to us because like from the economics of it, like we couldn't afford at the stage that you started working for us to have a marketer as skilled as you to lead our marketing team. But from a fractional perspective, right, we could.
Yeah.
And so it made it plausible for us to have a lot of marketing talent in-house that we otherwise couldn't have afforded or afford. So tell our listeners maybe a little bit about how your company works, what gave you the impetus to start it, how it works.
So I started my own company. It felt before I started officially and went out and said like Sharp Cookie, we're a fractional CMO company and all that stuff, I actually established it in like 2016. So my LLC has existed for a while.
Ah, okay.
And, me and my husband had moved. We were much further away from the offices. I was commuting like an hour in, an hour back. And, that's always like a big thing that makes people like change whatever they're doing. And also like I knew back when I was doing like freelance web development, I could make money doing it. And I had like a really good close rate. Like if somebody met with me, I was going to do their project.
Right.
And so, it was easy for me to get work and I was just brave enough, I guess. And I was just like, I'm going to do this. And also, it would feel nice working for myself and not for other people, even though I do work for all of my clients, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was the second question you asked? I forgot. That's how it started.
One thing I forgot too is later in the day, the coffee hasn't.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
how does it? I think it was like, how does the company kind of work as far as like not getting too much into that, but like what kind of services y'all provide? How many people do you have working for you? Give us a feel for it.
So, I mean, I'm a fractional CMO. And so there's that part of my business where I have set number of clients, including Scott Vicknair, and then a few others. And that part is hard to scale. There are a lot of fractional CMOs now. I actually talked to one like last week and they were like, how are you going to scale this? And I'm like, how are you going to scale this? Like we're trying to figure it out. So a lot of people in this kind of market trying to figure it out, everyone doing their own thing. So it's exciting. And I like that part of it.
Yeah.
And then the other
that's also too, that is a lot. There is like a niche just for people who wouldn't know this. Like there are some really good fractional CMOs like you.
Yeah.
That law firms who aren't yet at $10, $15 million in revenue can have the type of talent that y'all have in-house in their marketing teams. And the same concept plays along with like fractional CFOs. There's different vendors for every type of department head where you want like a more experienced person, but you can't afford yet what they cost.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So continue. Sorry to interrupt. But
well, and I mean, just just going off what you said there, like I heard about fractional CMOs like on podcasts and stuff before, I left the company and I was like, oh, how interesting. It didn't click with me to do that until one of the first people who hired me, as soon as I left GLM, they were like, come work for me, please. And I loved them, still love them. But they were like, you should do the fractional CMO thing. And it was just like, there is such a huge need because like among the small business owners that I know, they all need talent, but talent's hard to find. And if you do find it, you usually can't afford it.
Yep.
And if, a marketer is good enough, they're going to start their own business. They're going to go work for a bigger company. And so like, it's a good way to like serve like a group of people in need who need that kind of skills and expertise and know-how. And, I think it's a great solution for like small to medium-sized businesses that are scaling up and growing. And also like for the marketers, like it's also nice to be able to work for multiple businesses because you can like what's working over here, we can use it over here, and
100%.
makes it some things easier.
No different than some of the agencies that work for us, right?
Yeah.
When we're in these calls and talking about what are these trends happening in online search for PPC or LSAs or whatever, they serve clients in different markets and they can tell us trends that they're seeing in other markets, things that they're seeing work in other markets, and you get to almost like be like a fractional mastermind, right? Not getting to your mastermind program yet, but like a fractional mastermind that you're seeing what's working in different firms, and they're not competing against each other. So why wouldn't they be fine with you sharing information and helping all the firms that you work for, right?
I mean, I haven't had any complaints yet.
Yeah. Well, you could do it. You could share our stuff with people who we're competing against. We don't care. All right. Like they still have to execute it and do it is the way I look at it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
that's the truth of it. Like marketing and marketing ideas are everywhere. That's what I tell people. It's like, I trip over marketing ideas every day. The hard part is implementing them. And so like for me, like when I look at like a marketplace, like that's one of the principles like I try to implement with Sharp Cookie is like, we're going to be the first to implement, or we're going to try to implement the fastest, because sometimes that's what matters. Is what matters what gets done, because like a lot of the other businesses, small businesses, like the fight is against like not being productive enough, or procrastination, or just not doing it and not executing. So I mean that's for me, like that's really important, just implementing these ideas. Yeah.
I have a question, and this is maybe more analytical and deeper about marketing that you just triggered me to think of. So I've been thinking about this. Like I am like, as you know, like a huge proponent of marketing.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of money this year on marketing, and I can't wait to spend even more next year as a proportionate share of what like our planned revenue will be. So we're not like overspending, right? In a healthy, sustainable growth way. But it really hit me that I think a part of the reason, I want your take on it, that business owners are reticent to spend money on marketing is they don't really know their numbers as far as like cost per acquisition and what that customer generates in revenue, to be able to like do a true ROI analysis and say, if I invest this much in marketing and it brings me this many clients, patients, whatever it is at this cost, and I can expect this level of revenue for each one. It's simple math, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good, and legal, it's a pretty good investment. But I don't think that business owners really analytically even know their numbers enough en masse to make those like intelligent decisions, and they just think it's foolamajiggy. Like, what is your opinion on it? I'm just curious. For the ones who do fight you or are nervous about spending money on marketing, like what would you say?
I mean, all marketing is an investment. And you have to put it out there for people to see it. So like the biggest marketing failure that there ever is just not implementing it. So just marketing that doesn't happen. That's the big failure we're trying to avoid. And like for business owners who are hesitant to spend money, like I can point to so many real life examples, and I'm trying to remember the law firm name, but they're huge in New Jersey and New York. And I will if I find the Google article or whatever. But basically, like every time they won a case, whatever like profits they had from that, all of it went back into marketing. And they started like really small, but grew like super huge really quick, because like all of their profits were going back into more TV ads, more billboards, more radio ads. And the more that they invested, the bigger they got and the more business that they got in. And like what I have noticed, like working with a lot of small businesses, like frankly, not all of them grow. And like the ones that don't grow tend to be the ones that like will sit on things for a long time, don't invest in it, or invest a little, and like maybe pay an SEO vendor every month, to do stuff with their site. They don't know what's going on. They usually stay the same. It's kind of flatline, or maybe like a little bit of growth. And so like, I just see so many real life examples and I try to communicate that. And I'm just like, look, like there are businesses that grow and they put money into marketing and they spend on marketing. And then there are businesses who try to like spend as little as possible, and they usually like don't grow. Yeah. I mean, they may not crash entirely, but they just don't get any bigger.
Which is just fascinating to me, because there's a whole different side of it, which is like there's a talent need, right? Like you want to have talented, like we call, like I hear in the industry a lot, like you probably A players.
Yeah.
And any business wants A players, right? But like part of it, like A players, it's not just about money for them. Of course, they want to make more money. But like the business has to grow for them to proportionally be able to continually get more and more money and grow, right? And the business also has to grow for them to have more leadership opportunities to move up, to manage more people. And so like, for me, it's like perplexing because I'm like, if you don't want to grow, like you're going to be susceptible to losing talented people because they're just frustrated that they don't see a path for them to advance in the organization. But that's my rant.
I see that. Like, I see that, like, if there's no growth opportunities or the job's going to be the same for the next 5 years, you know, I mean, that for a lot of people, particularly people like getting to be like our age, getting to be in their 30s and 40s,
Right.
like, and you think about like, well, where's, you know, if this company is staying the same, you know, like, and what's my life going to look like in 5 years is going to be the same. And a lot of people don't want that. And so they start their own thing, they go to bigger companies. And so, yeah, I mean, you got a great point. Like growth is it's like a retention device.
Yeah. Let me ask you, if I'm listening to this podcast and I'm thinking of starting my own company, law firm, not necessarily a law firm, because we have people who listen to this podcast who are in all different type of industries. What are like maybe the 3 first tips you would give a person starting their business as it relates to marketing that, okay, it doesn't necessarily, it could be an action item or maybe just suggestions, like you get the question, like what are the 3 things you would recommend?
So, email newsletter. Like, and I was like debating, like, should I crack a joke? And it's like, I'll go for it.
It's on brand because I randomly saw some ad the other day on LinkedIn, like email marketing is not dead, like or whatever. But please explain.
I mean, building a list, engaging with that list, nurturing that list. And I mean, doing more than just building your following on TikTok or LinkedIn. But start there, you know, start on a social media platform.
Because it's cheap.
Oh, it's cheap. Oh, it was
you
free.
You can put the content up. It costs nothing, you know.
Just the time to make it and edit it, right? I mean, figure out who you're going to talk to. Talk to that audience on social media. Get them off social media and onto your marketing list somehow through offers, call to actions, asking them to visit the website, asking them to engage. And some people just go naturally because they're interested in you as an influencer, so to speak.
Right.
And then get them on your email marketing list and just continue to like nurture and engage those relationships. One of my hobbies is I write science fiction. I'm still bad at it, but I try. Anyway, like I'm in a writers group, and one of the writers, they do this professionally. Like they continually write like science fiction stories, and they have their own publishing company. They self-publish, they sell them on Amazon. They're retired, but that's how they bring in an income. And like that's their like bread and butter. Like that's how they sell books, is pretty much what I described. Social media, email marketing, and then whenever he releases a book, he mainly sells it into his newsletter list.
Yeah. You know, I think the list thing hits me because like, and I hope any of my competitors listen to this, like somebody starting a law firm who's trying to compete against whatever, the list is number one. It's priority. Like nobody wants to hear it because it's not like sexy or exciting, right? Yeah. Like figuring out what technology database you want to use to store those names in. But for me, I'm like a maniac, I guess, about like every potential lead, every client, every friend, like let's get them in our database because we can cheaply stay in front of them through newsletters, through magnets, birthday cards. None of this stuff's exciting, but what is it? It's like tested and true marketing for generations, right?
And it's cumulative. Like you send out an email newsletter each week and you're like, that's all I do. That's kind of lame. And it does feel a little lame because you're doing just that one thing. Right. But then you do like the birthday cards, and then you do extra email newsletters, and then you're doing stuff on social media. All builds and works together until you have like this really nice engaged audience of people who know you and like you and will buy from you. And
are thinking of you as you're top of mind. So when they are thinking of using your service or need your service or whatever it is you're selling, like you're there.
Yeah.
Right. So how does everybody find you? If I'm thinking about working with you and I want to go get a fractional CMO, how do I find you?
So my name is spelled Tifiny. And actually, if you Googled Tifiny Marketing, I think I have really good SEO for that. So at least for my searches, I come up for it. But you could also go to Sharp.
Have you searched it down here? Yeah.
No, I need to, though. Okay. I just thought of that.
Reminder.
Yeah. Out when I'm in a restaurant, if you see me going, wait a minute, like that's what I'm doing. And then my website, sharpcookiedev.com, because sharpcookie.com wasn't available. And then if you search for me on LinkedIn, I'm always posting on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I have to give you a big plug because Tifiny has definitely, it's hard to really say how much you've meant to us and continue to. The growth of our company, which is important to me, Brad, and our entire team, they're all invested now in growing the law firm, is directly attributable to a lot of the things that you've done behind the scenes, the automations, working through some of the kinks on those automations, the training, the teaching the different people in our marketing department what works, what doesn't work. I like to joke that our lead intake specialist calls you the GOAT. Like anytime your name goes on, it's like, oh, Tiffany's the GOAT.
I love Paige. That's so sweet.
And so you've had such an incredible impact on our law firm. We are so excited working with you. We want to work with you forever. And
making me blush.
I can't really recommend your service enough. So if you're in the business for a fractional, I can't remember looking at mouse. There we go. Fractional legal chief marketing officer, you should go find Tifiny. The reason we hired you was because Ben Glass at his law conference like 2 years ago, when I first decided to kind of put my foot on the gas and go all in on this marketing stuff, I think he said on stage, he's like, the day you left the firm was the worst day of his life. He's
I'm
like,
sure
the day
he's
the world ended.
exaggerating.
He said something like that. And Brad just colloquially was telling me at the conference, like, you would really jive with Tifiny. And Brad was right. And we just, I think we hired you like a month later. So we've loved working with you. Can't say enough good things about you. So thank you so much for being here in person for a couple of days and being on the podcast.
I know. It's been lovely being down here. Well, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Once again, this has been a great episode talking about marketing and a little bit about Tiffany's company, Sharp Cookie. Please go check her out. I know she's online, got her own website and in LinkedIn, and also has TikTok, Instagram, everything.
All of them. All of them now.
You can find her anywhere on the web. But thank you all for listening. Once again, this has been David Vignier. This has been the Overruled Podcast, brought to you by the Scott Vignier Law Firm. We look forward to talking to you next time. Take care.
Scott Vignier, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.